Come on! Come on! Come on!
Having birds fly next to you is thrilling. I've done this with starlings, swans, and now these handsome geese.
These brilliant barnacle geese, the first thing they saw when they hatched was people, and now they'll follow anything.
Unless they overtake, of course. Even at 40 miles an hour, the geese can keep up easily. It's time to swap wheels for wings.
Come on, geese! Come on!
I've always wanted to fly in the air with birds. So's my dad. He's the pilot. These geese are youngsters, only 4 months old, so although they're skilled at flying, they seem to be scared of heights. When we get too far from the ground, they fly away home.
It sure is windy up here. These gorgeous barnacle geese are mid-sized birds, but there's other birds that are absolutely gigantic.
I travelled to South Africa to find the largest bird of them all, but this time I can keep both feet firmly on the ground. Well, almost. These are certainly the biggest and the strongest birds' eggs in the world. This is an abandoned nest. I wouldn't be doing this if there were parent birds nearby. They really defend their nest ferociously, and an angry ostrich can really spoil your weekend. With a single kick it could shatter my skull or easily disembowel a person. It would take 2 hours to hard boil one of these, but if you scrambled the contents it would provide a meal for up to 20 people. This remarkable creature is the largest bird on Earth. I'm at ostrich eye level now. I'm 8 feet up, over 2 meters, the size of the crossbar on a goalpost. Ostriches have extraordinary eyes. They're the size of a tennis ball. That's bigger than the eye of an elephant, the biggest eye of anything that lives on the land. And with that eye, they can see objects up to 3.5 kilometers away. Look at those luscious eyelashes. An ostrich can hear as well as I can. See the ear? See that? See right in the ear there. The only difference is they've got muscles and they can close their ear right up. Hello, boy. Which is crucial in a sandstorm. Being a giant helps ostriches survive on the savannah. With this great long neck like a periscope, they can scan the horizon for predators like lions or hyenas, and they can stretch up for leaves and fruits, which are out of reach of most antelope. This is Lucy the stripper. She'll take the shirt off anyone's back. Leaves are hard to digest, so ostriches have to eat pebbles, stones, or even buttons to help them grind down their food. But running is what they're really good at. They can run at 40 miles an hour, do the marathon in a little over 30 minutes. They're the only bird with 2 toes on their feet. A spot of bareback riding, the highlight of my visit to the safari ostrich farm in Oudtshoorn. These specially trained birds are used to having jockeys on their backs, but I'm not specially trained, and they don't slow down for beginners. I know when I'm beaten. Now it's time to meet a giant African bird that can fly. Kampala, the busy capital of Uganda, the bright lights and glamour have attracted some very special residents. In most capital cities, there's masses of pigeons,
And when I was growing up, I used to love going to London to feed them in Trafalgar Square. But just imagine if there were these things on top of Nelson's column.
People say marabou storks are the ugliest birds in the world, but I love their oddness. OK, they're scruffy and lanky, but my headmaster put exactly those words on my school report, so I know how they feel. Every tree in this city seems to be festooned with storks.
This is fantastic. It's the busiest street junction in Kampala. And the storks, they just ignore the sound of the traffic and the people. There's a male up there preening one of its chicks. Extraordinary.
It's when they're in the air that marabous are at their most spectacular. Their broad wings can be over 3 meters across. That's the width of a bus. They need this giant wingspan for maximum lift, as they often have to glide huge distances in search of carrion. But here in the city, food is never far away.
These magnificent, wait, crikey, these magnificent Ankoli cattle are one of the main reasons that the marabou storks are in Kampala.
The cattle are brought here from the surrounding countryside to be slaughtered. The marabous have learnt that in the hurly-burly of the abattoir there's meaty scraps for the taking.
The smell around here is atrocious. But this is a real chance to see how big marabous really get. Wow. This is great watching this behaviour. This is what the marabous would do at a lion kill in the savannah. They'd sneak in, get little bits of food from the vultures and the lions and the hyenas. Even though they've got these huge beaks, they're not very good at slicing meat. So they'd much prefer to have innards like this. The dominant birds, there's one here. This huge sack hanging from its neck, and that tells the other birds that it's the boss, and it will get first choice at the food.
After a feed, it's time to get into the air and find a place for a siesta, or even a spot of sightseeing. Pigeons are just the right size for a marabou snack. Luckily, Fred and Doris have already eaten.
They've certainly given the pigeons something to think about, but these marabous are fantastic. I couldn't just imagine them in Trafalgar Square. I had to see what they look like, and they are brilliant. Come on, come on.
Come on, Fred. So what do you want to see next? The Houses of Parliament? To find another giant, I went to Peru. High in the Andes, the air is so dry, I nearly lost my voice.
Marabou storks have a South American rival for the land bird with the greatest wingspan. This is an outstanding place to see them, Peru's Colca Canyon. The giants roost down here on these cliffs and soar upwards every morning. The thing about trying to watch them is it tests your susceptibility to vertigo. The drop from top to bottom is 3,000 metres. That's nearly 2 miles. Colca is the deepest canyon in the world.
It's twice the depth of Arizona's Grand Canyon.
Andean condors are late risers. It's past 10 o'clock, but when they do come, they're going to come with a whoosh. I can see them moving about in the bottom of the canyon. The air show is just about to begin. These are gorgeous birds. They've got a fluffy white collar, a great, beautiful, gorgeous white panel on the top of their wings. The juveniles are brown. They need to get to 8 years of age before they get the adult coloration.
Like marabou storks, condors use their giant wings to soar on thermals of warm air. Their flight is virtually effortless. Low travel costs mean they can spend hours aloft, scouring the countryside for carrion.
That's a male bird. You can see it's got a great comb on the top of its head and great wattles hanging down from below its chin.
He weighs about 15 kilograms and has an impressive 3-metre wingspan. These majestic birds have always been important to the people of the Andes. The ancient Incas thought the condor was a messenger to the gods, carrying the sun into the sky each morning. At Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas, there are even the remains of a condor temple. Condors are much rarer today, but Inca children would definitely have seen them. I'm at the top of an ancient slide used by kids 1,000 years ago, and it still works. Even today, condors are involved in a ritual that's truly bizarre. The Yawa Fiesta, the Festival of Blood, takes place in the high Andean villages around Cusco. It lasts for 3 days and 3 nights. I don't know how the locals keep themselves going, but I think it's something to do with drinking huge quantities of maize wine. The alcohol may keep them awake, but it certainly doesn't help their musical skills. I've spent a lot of time searching for giants, but this is the first time I've felt a giant myself. As the climax of the fiesta approaches, I can sense a change of mood.
Every year for centuries, people have gathered in this plaza in Cotabambas to honour the condor. The guest of honour is just about to arrive.
Today is the 28th of July, the anniversary of Peru's liberation from Spanish rule. This frightened but otherwise uninjured condor was trapped a few days ago. For these people, it represents the successful resistance of the Indians to their Spanish oppressors. To symbolise the struggle between the conquistadors and the native Indians, the petrified condor is tied onto the back of an equally frightened bull. The animals aren't going to be killed. The Festival of Blood originally got its name from the blood that was shed during the liberation. Even today, the blood doesn't come from the condor or the bull. It comes from the young men who, desperate to prove their bravery, often get gored or knocked to the ground. This was a sight I really didn't enjoy. There must be other ways to show respect to the condor. I was glad it was over in less than a minute.
All of this must be a terrifying ordeal for the condor, but it's never harmed. They're always released, and this one's just about to go back into the Andes.
I find this treatment of wild animals appalling, but much worse things happen to condors elsewhere in South America. Wrongly accused of killing livestock, they're shot or poisoned, treated as vermin. Here, one condor is caught for the Yawa Fiesta once a year, but but for the rest of the time, because the local people actually respect the birds, they're never persecuted or harmed in any way. Instead, they're allowed to fly free, to soar through the skies in peace. Birds with giant wingspans also glide over the oceans. To find them, I flew to Australia. Common dolphins are gorgeous, but I didn't come here for them. I came to see giant birds that nest on islands near Antarctica. They come here for a holiday after breeding.
I am so relieved to be here. Don't believe those Australian soap operas. It can be really cold here in the winter, and we've had 5 days of rain and storms, and this is the first day we've been able to get out. But what a magical day it is. And there's mobs of the birds I've come to see, these glorious albatrosses.
The wandering albatross is the largest. They become whiter with age. This brown bird is around 3 years old. It's its first year at sea. But here comes an adult. With these giant wings, it rides the waves, taking advantage of low-level sea winds. Wind power provides 98% of the energy these birds need to fly. I'm here with seabird scientists. They feed the albatrosses to attract them to the boat so they can be caught, measured and ringed. The more we can find out about these charismatic birds, the easier it will be to protect them. The number of wanderers is declining rapidly.
Oh, look at the size of that. Brilliantly.
The albatross is calm in the net, but you have to be careful around that beak. It could snip off a finger if it wanted to.
It's a New Zealand bird.
There's the octopus. Nigel, can you give us a hand here, please?
Of course. This is the bit I want to see. Look at that. That is an extra.
These birds can have an astonishing 3.5 metre wingspan. That's 12 feet, nearly twice my height.
To there. And that's...
The elegant wings seem to fold in the most extraordinary places.
This is an absolutely wonderful bird. Albatrosses love having their heads scratched like this. It calms them down. Looks like he's got a runny nose, or should I say runny beak. He hasn't got a cold. Albatrosses drink seawater, and of course there's a lot of salt in their food as well. They've got a big gland behind their eye, and that gets rid of the excess salt, and it drains out of the nostrils and runs down the beak, and that's why it looks like it's got a dripping nose. I've never had a goose on my lap before, but if I had had one, it would be about this size, except it would be much heavier than an albatross. These birds are designed for gliding. Everything about them is lightweight. They can live for 80 years, and for 60 of those years, 60 years they spend over the open sea. And that's where he's going to go now. Come on. There we go. Go on, fella.
This isn't a very dignified way to release such a beautiful bird, but I don't have any choice. It's so full of cuttlefish that for the next few hours it will be too heavy to fly. I leave the rough seas of Australia for Europe and solid ground, from lightweight gliders to the world's heavyweight champions. No, it's not these white storks. They're one of my favourites, but they're not giants. The birds I've come to see live in the country.
The village of Villafafala in northwest Spain. For me, it's an absolutely magical place, as well as having at least 10 storks' nests on the church tower. In the fields around the village, there's the heavyweight contender amongst flying birds. They weigh 20 kilograms, which is as much as a 6-year-old boy, which is pretty heavy.
That's why great bustards spend most of their time walking. They're birds of flat plains and grasslands. Most of these have been worked by man for centuries. The bustards are really nervous birds, and they'd fly off like a shot at the approach of a person or a car. But what I'm hoping is by using this rather uncomfortable tractor and trailer as a hide, I can get really close to them. As I hoped, the bustards took absolutely no notice of the tractor.
This is a group of males. They've got great long moustaches, which they use in a really extraordinary courtship display. They blow themselves up and virtually turn themselves inside out. I think there's a couple just about to start.
A displaying male inflates a pouch under his neck and turns his wings inside out. He ends up looking like a snowball on stilts. His moustache sticks straight up into the air. To a female bustard, this is a real turn-on. The gleaming males can be seen from up to 4 miles away. It's not just courtship that's hard work. Getting the weight of a 6-year-old boy off the ground isn't easy either. They almost seem to pedal the air to get airborne. This beautiful sight used to be common in the UK, but in 1832 the last British bustard was shot. These giants are absolutely superb. If I had one wish, it would be to see flocks of these noble heavyweights flying across British skies once again.